Good morning, journalism students, and welcome to the basic layout tutorial. As you can see up at the top here, I've opened the basic layout template. And in this tutorial, you're going to learn some things that you need to be aware of when you are working on the news magazine or helping out. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to place an article. Now, you're going to go to the File menu and you're going to go over here to Place. And you are going to find your folder. We are going to go into the print folder of the December issue. Now, for this tutorial, you're going to need to place multiple articles. One of the first articles that we're going to place is girls soccer. You can place any article that you want. I just ask that you place them from different sections of the news magazine. So you can see that the girls soccer article is in my placing in my cursor, and I'm going to click down and I'm going to just drag it like this, and you can see that's the first part of the article. A couple of things that I want to do first is we're going to have to go ahead and change the font size for the headline and the byline. So I want to get those out of here. So I'm going to create a text box, and I am going to highlight my headline, and I am going to hit cut, and then I'm going to hit paste, and I'm going to do the same thing with my byline. So we are going to highlight those, cut it, and paste it. Now, I don't want to deal with these right now, so I'm going to just move them over to the side and show you how to place this article. Now, one of the things that you need to worry about with articles is sometimes they're not tabbed or not spaced right. So what we're going to have to do is we are going to start tabbing things in, and let's figure out how many columns we want to make this. We have to vary the columns in the news magazine, so I'm going to start this off by 4. So I'm going to cut. I'm going to use my black arrow. That helps me to move things and manipulate text, and I'm going to go step by step and create this into 4 columns. Now, as you see the green line, when I click and I'll get to the green line, that means that that is particularly centered. I'm just going to put them in here, and then I'm going to adjust them later, because you can see some of my columns are a little off. So I'm going to actually move this down here just a little bit, because I know that I want to make sure, and you can watch the green line appear with that. Okay, so I need to do a bunch of different things with my article. First, I need to make sure that they're all within these little marginal lines, because if this goes over too much, it is not going to, it's going to, there's not going to be enough space in between the columns, and it's going to run together, and it's going to look like one giant text. Now you can see that there's still more to this article, so I'm going to actually go down to all the way down here. But before I start changing everything, one of the things I have to realize is, these tabs didn't stay in. So I'm going to change them and make sure everything is tabbed in. I'm going to go back and I'm going to tab in all the paragraphs. As you can see, there's a lot of funky space, and we're going to have to change that as well. So, okay, so I'm going to make all my tabs. Okay. I'm going to pull some of these columns down just to try and balance this a little bit. I'm not too worried about this right now, because this is all going to change. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my text tool, because I have to do a couple of things. First of all, I need to go to the paragraph tool, and you see this number up here where it's 1389. That number shouldn't be that. That number should be 0. So if I'm going up, it's getting bigger. I need to go back smaller till I can get it to 0. And look at how much that changed. The next thing is you're going to need to justify the text, and you're always going to want to justify it left, which is the first one down here. So our article is almost placed. We need to adjust it, because apparently I kicked this line over just a little bit too much. So I'm going to squeeze that in there. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom of the text box. That little red plus that you saw always means, if in there you can see it again, that there's more text there. So, all right, I need to see if I can get this. All right, we're almost there. So I'm going to see about this. Let's see how many more lines. Okay. Girls, it's just a tad bit off with the justifying. So I'm going to just try and get that a little bit better. As far as maybe I might be able to make this just a tad bigger. There. The other thing is you don't want to ever want one particular word. So we're going to see if we can pull that team down on this line and try and get this as best that we can. One of the things that is most important is if you're going to have text that will end, we can either do one of two things. We can delete it, or we can play with the leading, or we can edit the article. One of the easiest things to do is to play with the leading. And you're going to highlight that with the text tool, and then you're going to go up here, and you can see the leading is 12.1. Oh, and the font isn't even right. I forgot to show you how to do that. It should always be Minion Pro 10 point. So this is 11 point. So that will help us tremendously. And it has about 11 point leading. That actually only takes us to 3 columns. So we're going to hit the text selection tool, and I'm going to delete that. Oh, I don't want to delete the whole thing. So if you ever do that, it's simple. You undo clear. Okay, I want to just delete this last one. And I still want to keep this 4 columns just for the purposes of showing you guys. So I'm going to click on, I'm going to make them a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to click over here on this little red plus, meaning there's more text. And then I'm going to put it down there. Okay, so I'm going to need to move these up just a little bit. Now you can see that this is not a science. Move this up just a little bit more. That you want to it's going to take a lot of time to kind of play with this. Way to go, girls. Now even though there is a box, you can see that all that's left is space. Cassiana apparently didn't delete the extra space in her article, so we'll just delete that. So that's the last line, and that looks pretty good. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the headline font. We want to make this box wider. We're going to always remember we're on the black arrow, and then you're going to go to the text tool, highlight this. We're going to want to center it and change the font first. The font is Elephants, which is there, and I think it's 24 point, and that actually fits kind of nice with that. Now if you are concerned about the font is Elephant 24 point, it's 24 points. If you need to know where those things are, you can go through this basic layout style sheet here. If you open it with Adobe PDF Reader, it will open up and you'll be able to see it, that it has all of your fonts, what they should be, the type, and the size. So let's go back to our InDesign article, or our InDesign document. Okay, and that looks pretty good. So we're gonna go take that up here, and one of the easiest things to do is, if you want this centered perfectly, because is to drag your text box across, and then go to your edit, or go to your text tool and go to your paragraph tool and just center it, and then it's perfect. Now for the byline, it's Minion Pro, so, and it's 10 point. So let's change the size of the font, and then let's go down, find Minion Pro. If you use the keypad to type the letter, of what you're doing, it will automatically take that in there. And Cassiana has her byline pretty much correct. Now, if I wanted to see this more, I can hit the Control Plus key and it brings it in. The next thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to put that little line in between there. There on your keypad, there's this 2 little dashes button, and if you hit the Shift button and do that, there is the byline, and the byline should be 10 point Minion Pro, and it should be bold. So how do you bold it? You highlight it, and you see down here it says regular. You don't want to do bold, condensed, bold, italic, condensed. You just want to do straight bold. The other thing that you always want to try and do is keep the text boxes tight. Now I'm going to Control minus out there, and then I'm going to just take this. You got to be careful. Edit. Always mess up. Undo. Okay, so you're going to make sure it's on there, and then all right, I'm going to come in a little bit closer, and then you can see with the green lines there that it will center it for you. That's the nice thing about InDesign. The other thing that I want to show you quickly is that you can also use rulers. You pull the top down and you can see there's a ruler there, and it comes on this really light cyan color, and you can do rulers. The other thing that we need to do that I'm going to show you is you are going to place a picture. So you're going to, first of all, you're going to take a photo box and you're going to just put it any size, and then you're going to do File, and then you're going to Place. And I already have this particular picture saved. I believe it's this one, which is the girls' soccer picture, and you're like, oh, Mrs. Siller, what happened to it? Well, you see how this is, it's in there. We just haven't seen it. So you're going to right click and you're going to hit Fitting, and you're going to hit Fill Frame Proportionally, and there's the picture. But that's not quite perfect. It's about the size that I want it, because people like to see photos in the news magazine, and making them really small kind of detracts from it. But there's just something small I need to do, and I want to click this white arrow. You don't click on this white arrow much, only when you use photos, and you can see I can take it up just a hair. It shows me how big the picture is, and then I click off of it, and if I want to move it, I need to click this arrow. Now I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to find my text wrap, which is over here, and I'm going to just wrap the text around my photo. But you can see it's here, but it's not real. It's really in tight, and I want to give it just a little bit more space. So I'm going to hit this little up arrow. You see how that makes that top part of the photo go up, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to just hit a little bit around there. Now I'm going to have to pull this down. Part of the issue is that I guess it doesn't like to wrap that way. The other thing that we can do is, instead of text wrapping it, we could even put it at the top here and try and figure out how to do this. Pull this down like this. All right, let's see if we can do it. Maybe it'll fit better at the bottom. So we're going to go to the bottom. It might be a little bit easier to do, so we want to make sure that we get this just a tiny bit. And then we need to go ahead, make our, pull our arrows down just so it fits. So that is basically how you do. They're very close as a team. Let's see how much in there. Oh, okay, so we still have a lot. So that took a lot of the text away. So let's see how much, if we pull it down just a little bit, to see how much that'll work. And we might need to change the leading. We might want to pull it down just a little bit more. And you can see from the tutorial that this takes a long time. So let's just do something simple that will help change this. Instead of making our leading 11 point, we take it down to 10 point, and voila. That takes a lot of the actual